Welcome back, everybody. This is our third Facebook Live that we're going over our kitchen series. We want to make sure to announce our winner from last week's series, and it was Chenoa Talmadge. So congratulations, Chenoa. And we want you to be sure and make comments or ask questions on this particular live Facebook today, and tomorrow we'll be making an announcement for the winner that is going to win a lacquer kit to be able to do a lot of the projects that we're showing you how to do today. So be sure and ask your questions. Remember, this is live. It's 3 o'clock Central Standard Time here in Memphis, Tennessee. So one thing we want to go over with you today is backsplashes. And it may be an area of your kitchen that you don't really think a whole lot about, because if you don't have a fabulous backsplash, you haven't seen the transformation that it can take your kitchen to. So remember our kitchen that we've done. So our first week we painted our kitchen cabinets. The second week we showed you how to lacquer and make really fabulous appliances. Now we want to do the reveal to show you what a backsplash can do to change your kitchen as well. So come on over here. Now here's our before picture. Now remember, this was the kitchen that we got from Habitat. It was just a regular old oak cabinets. We painted them in linen. And remember, the wall is also in the Amy Howard one-step paint. So now we're going to reveal our kitchen cabinets with the backsplash. Ta-da! So look at the transformation of the before with no backsplash and after. It's pretty amazing. The fun thing about it is you don't realize how easy this is. This is something that I'm going to show you today, how to actually recreate. This 2 feet by 4 foot sheet of glass is only going to run you about $12 to $15, and you're going to be able to create this great look yourself. What's so wonderful about it as well, you can use it behind your cooktop as well as on your islands, because this is the front of the glass, so you can just easily clean it with just a little bit of Windex or glass cleaner. All right, so let's come on over here. Now remember, be sure and send your questions in, so I can be sure and answer them for you while we're live. And I want you to take a glance at this kitchen right here. Look at that colored backsplash. Now, there's a trend. You're gonna see really strong pops of color, especially glass tiles as well as large surface areas of tiles. So that we're gonna be talking about both of those today. So also look over here on my right, where they've been made into brick tiles. So you can cut the glass into any size you want. Then you can go back and you can create all different kinds of patterns with the glass tiles themselves. So now let's come over here for just a second, and I want to show you how you can easily get this look. Now this is with the Amy Howard at Home Begonia colored nitrocellulose lacquer. This is a very high gloss. All I did is I went to Ace Hardware and I had them cut the glass. This is 1/8 inch glass, and they cut it into the sizes that I wanted to be able to show you how to make glass tiles. So I'm just going to lay this down. Both sides are the same, so it's not going to matter.
Amy?
Yes, we have a question.
Rosemary wants to know, would this work on non-glare glass if you didn't want the shine?
Yes, it would. That's a great question. It will work on non-glare glass as well. So what we were going for today is a really high gloss, so we thought it would be a lot of fun to just work with regular glass. So I'm making sure that, remember that agitating ball inside, I want to make sure that I get it shaken up really well. And I'm going to go back and forth thinking of this as just like my paintbrush. So you want to make sure that you're about 6 inches away. Now on the glass, it's really not necessary to do 2 coats. Usually I'm pretty happy with 1. I want to turn this around and let you see what that looks like. Isn't that gorgeous? So now this is the front side of it. That's the side we haven't painted. Now this becomes the back. Now I want to just show you some other tiles that I painted earlier. The other thing that I have here, remember, I want you to wear a dust mask when you're going to be working with spray lacquers, and I would really prefer that you work on it outdoors. But look at some of these different colors. This is the begonia that I just did, that it's dry. And here's a beautiful white tile. Now see, here's the back. That's where I'm going to actually apply it to the wall. Here's one that I had a little bit of fun with gold. I'm going to show you how to recreate this in just a minute. And I put the LaGrange lacquer on the back. Here's a Belize lacquer.
Amy, Tony wants to know which side goes against the wall. Is it the painted side?
Yes, that's a great question, Tony. So, see, here's the side that I painted. This is the side that I'm actually going to adhere and put onto the wall. Let's go back over here. See again, that way you want to make sure that you're only going to be working with the front that you can clean. So this is the front part of the glass. So the part that I painted is here. So when I come to actually apply it, I'm going to put my silicone and my mastic on the back and then apply it here onto the wall. All right?
Alex wants to know if he can order it online, the furniture lacquer.
Yes, you can order it online. You can go to amyhowardathome.com, but we also want to encourage you to go on our website and look where we have about 2,700 retailers across the country. We have boutiques that love teaching you in hands-on workshops and creating creative retreats, as well as them being able to help you in the experience. And then we have about 2,300 Ace hardware stores that can customize colors for you, and a lot of them have knowledge bars and things that they want to help you understand the product as well. So if the store that's near you doesn't have it, just ask them to turn around and order it for you and they can get it in. So it'll be in time for you to do your weekend workshop. All right.
Somebody else wants to know, where do you get the tiles?
So what we did is we went to Ace Hardware, and they will take 1/8" glass and they will cut it into any size you want. So I just told them the size that we wanted these cut into, and they made them, so you don't have to cut them themselves. One thing I do want you to make sure is we'll come back with some 400 grit sandpaper and sand the edges so they won't cut you, but they're very easy and fun to work with. So now another project that I want to be able to show you, I'm going to take this kitchen down, and these are tiles. So what I was using the instance as far as making these glass tiles, maybe you don't have a backsplash, but maybe let's say you do have a backsplash, but it's a ceramic tile. One thing that most people don't realize you can do, but with the nitrocellulose lacquers, you can use them directly on these baked ceramic tiles. So I love using these as coasters. We like doing all different kinds of craft projects with them. But I wanted you to see what I painted earlier. This is completely dry, but I want you to look at the gloss on it. This is a Belize color lacquer. So let's say you have an old bathroom, and maybe the tiles are an ugly green or pink. You want to be able to change it. You can easily take this lacquer, spray it directly onto this ceramic tile, and it's going to look like this, and it will hold up in showers and all kinds of usage. So you can also use it in your kitchen. So I want to show you something fun. Don't forget, this is live, so I want y'all to be sure and send in your questions so I can answer them.
Once you've lacquered the tile, what kind of cleaning products are safe?
That's a great question. So I would really stick with probably a soapy water solution. Windex is all right too. If you have some scrubbing that you need to be done, maybe because you can use this behind your cooktop, it would be all right to work with maybe a simple green cleaner with grease. But you can also come back on top of it with Bright Idea and act as a protectant. So I just thought this was a beautiful example of a scene or a decorative tile that we wanted to be able to show you how easy it was. And I'm going to place this back because I want you to be sure and see it. And I want to tell you, part of this inspiration came from one of our bloggers. Her name is Jess at Bright Green Door. And if you could, let's come right over here. I want you to see what she did with this pattern. She actually used this on her ceramic floor. She had an ugly old ceramic floor that she did not like, and she wanted to be able to create a patterned floor with it. And I think Jess did a beautiful job here of using the one-step paint on the floor, and then she created her stencil and used a secondary color of ballet white on top to create her pattern. But on this, for a backsplash, it would be very easy to come back and either create this and put it up yourself, or you can actually paint it on the wall itself. So here's what I had before, just simple white ceramic tiles, as you see on the back, that you would see at any flooring store or tile floor or hardware store. And this is just a stencil that we created out of a mylar material. And you can place this on top of the tile itself, and then take the lacquer. Of course, I'm not going to spray that on here right now because we're getting ready to spray quite a few things. And then after you make sure that it's attached, then come back on and spray on top of it, and then lift your stencil, and it'll have the pattern underneath like we have here. So the gloss that you're going to get from this lacquer that we've placed on top of here really looks like it came from a factory. It's absolutely spectacular. And when you think about the cost of tiles like this, they're very, very expensive. This allows you to be able to do it for pennies, literally, per tile. So the next thing I want to show you is a really fun project, and it's using a decorative glass technique like I showed you over here on this kitchen. So the first thing you need to do, let me just sit, I've got a lot of materials up here, so I apologize. First thing we're gonna need to do is work with just a regular glass. Now remember, you can have this 1/8" glass cut for you at Ace Hardware. I would measure above your counters. So usually between the counter, the top of the counter and the bottom of the kitchen cabinets, you're looking at it being about 2 feet. Get your exact measurements, and that way they'll cut it for you, and that way you can come back and you'll start where I am right now.
Is the lacquer solvent-based or water-based?
It's solvent-based. Anytime you're going to have something in a can like this, it's going to have to be a solvent base to allow it to be able to be agitated and spray out of the sprayer. So, I love these questions, guys.
Yeah, and the floor, when the floor tiles are done with one step, do you seal it?
Yes, it's very important. Now, we've got 2 examples going right now that we want to make sure we're understanding the difference. I'm working on these ceramic tiles, and I'm putting a pattern on top of it, and I'm wanting a gloss to match with the ceramic tile. That's the reason why I'm using the lacquer. But if you want to create a painted tile finish like this, like Jess did, then you can paint tiles with the one-step paint. And that's going to be the chalk-based paint that we have. You don't have to sand it, strip it, or prime it, but you do want to make sure if you're using it on a floor that you seal it with a matte sealer. So yes, that's a great question.
And once you've sealed it, how do you clean the floor?
I would just come back with soap and water. That way, as far as cleaning it off, occasionally you can come back and maybe use a degreaser if you get a scuff or something that's a little bit harder to work with. But soap and water should be fine.
And what thickness of glass are you working with?
This is an 1/8" thickness on this glass. So you do want to be very careful when you're working with it because it is thin. But it's really nice to work in the exact size sheets that you're going to cut for different areas of your kitchen. As a rule, 2 or 3 different sheets are going to be plenty to do the whole thing. I like working with larger sheets because that way I don't have to go in and lay in the tiles like I would normally. All right, so the first thing I want you to do in this technique, and this is kind of unusual, and there's going to be several steps, so if you have a question, be sure and ask me so that way I can answer it now. But this is to do a decorative backsplash. Let me see if I have an example here and pull it out for you. It's basically like the example that we have over here on the wall. Katie, let's go just show them one more time. So I want to make sure everybody understands. This is what I'm getting ready to show you. So see this pattern? Can you get up and see the close-up? See these little gold specks, these circles? This is what we're going to do first. It's working in reverse. It's very simple, but it's part of the mystery of knowing how this is going to be done. So now, this is what we're getting ready to create. So I'm going to start with my 1/8" glass that I've had cut for me to size. And I'm going to take just a water bottle and I'm going to squirt the water up in the air and allow it to fall. I don't want you to shoot it directly like this. Make sure that you press this up in the air so the water's going to go up and then fall, and it's going to have a much prettier look to it. Now watch this. Can you see the water coming out? Now I'm barely squeezing it, and by doing that, that's allowing for these larger irregular droplets. Hopefully the glare is not affecting so you can see that. So then I'm just going to barely squeeze on that, and then I'll squeeze a little harder if I want the water to come up a little higher. Now that's plenty of droplets. I don't want to do any more than that. Now here's the odd thing that's going to come, and this is going to throw everybody off. But I do want to get a piece of cardboard really quickly to put this on because I don't want to mess up my zinc table here. This may move around just a little bit, and I'm going to be kind of careful. All right. Thank you. Now, so my water droplets are here. I'm leaving them in place. and I'm going to spray the lacquer on top of the water droplets. So make sure that you shake this up very, very well. You want to work on a really level surface so that way it doesn't move around. And you're going to spray directly on top of it like this. Now look at that. See how those water droplets are still in place? Now, just because we're here in the studio and for time, I'm not going to go on and paint the whole thing, but when you're at home doing this, I want you to go on and spray the whole thing. One coat will be just fine. You don't have to worry about it. Then the next thing I want you to do is you're going to take some paper and you're going to lay it directly on top of it very carefully, because I don't want it to move. And watch how I'm patting down very carefully. I'm not moving the paper around. Don't use newspaper. I want you to stay with a craft paper or a heavy paper that's not going to fall apart. And then very carefully, I just want you to lift this paper up. Now, let's get closely. Can you see what that's done? See how those water droplets are going to allow me to now create a different pattern that's really fun on my backsplash. So I'm going to put this away. This is wet, and I'm going to show you one that's already dry. So this is what it looks like. There's the front. Remember, this is the back. This is what I'm working on. So this is the side that I painted. This is the side that's going to go against the wall. So it's very easy. I can just clean this off. I don't have to worry about affecting the paint that I've done. All right, so now I want to show you the next step. And I'm going to take my stencil and I'm going to lay it on top of it. This is just a Mylar wall stencil that we have. This is actually an Amy Howard at Home design. And I'm going to lay it on top of here. Just line it up however you want to be able to use your pattern. And then I'm going to come back with some gold metallic lacquer. And you can play with a lot of different designs and patterns with this. You're going to get a different look with every different pattern and color that you use. So very quickly, I'm just going to go across it this way. And what's going to happen, those little droplets, those circles, you're going to see them. I'm just going to pull this away. See that pattern? Now I have one here that's already dried, that I've done the whole thing. Allows you to be able to see what it looks like. Now let's look at it from the front. Remember, this is the reverse side that we're working on. Look at it from the front. Now, see these wonderful little circles? That was what we did with the water in the very beginning when we came on top of it and then dabbed that off with our paper towel. And look at this beautiful soft pattern that you can see behind it. It's not too pronounced, but it makes it look really interesting.
Michelle wants to know, where do you get your patterns?
This is a pattern. This is an Amy Howard at Home stencil. We have a lot of different wall stencils. A lot of people don't think about using a wall stencil on something like this, but I like the fact that it's a really heavy Mylar and it's easy to use. So then the last thing we're going to do is I'm going to take my white lacquer again, and I'm just going to go over the whole thing. Now, I would suggest coming back and going over the back of your glass, painting it with the one step before you actually apply it. But now can you see the difference? See how the white kind of sealed that up? What I love doing is using this technique too on the tops of tables, little drink tables, all kinds of things, but it's going to make a fabulous backsplash now.
Joe wants to know, what is included in the backsplash kit?
That's a great question. You're going to get the stencil that we worked with today and your lacquers and some bright ideas, so that way you can work with your ceramic tiles, or you might want to work with your glass. It will not include the glass because you need to be able to custom make that for your size depending on what your kitchen is. But remember, you can go to Ace Hardware, give them your dimensions, and they'll cut it for you. So the next thing we want to do today, I have someone here with me today, and we're going to show you, if you're saying, you know, that's a really cool technique, but I have more of a farm type kitchen, what could I do for a backsplash that would be really different? And so, Jean, if you'll come on over here, we want to show you something that's really easy and very inexpensive if you have more of a farmhouse look, and that's a zinc backsplash. Zinc are great countertops as well as backsplashes, and they're very, very inexpensive. So one thing that you want to be able to get is you're going to have to get a 22 gauge sheet metal. So you'll see the thickness of it. It's very thick. If you have this used on a top, you're going to want to make sure that they roll the edges for you. But you can get this sheet metal in sheets, so you could easily just have them cut maybe 2 or 3 different sizes to use as your backsplash. Right, Jean?
Right, and thanks for having me again, Amy. It's so good to be here. I'm going to show you something. Amy's been doing some incredible things with the lacquer and the glass. Now we're going to do something where a little science is involved. I'm going to show you some David Copperfield stuff. You're going to be amazed at what this will do. We're going to walk over here, and just as you saw with the glass and how we did this, we're going to do something similar, but we're going to use galvanized sheet metal this time. Now you can have a solid piece of galvanized sheet metal all the way across, or have it cut into sections like this into tiles to where you can create a tiled look as opposed to one solid sheet. So we'll come back over here, and you'll ask, where will I get this? If you'll look into the Yellow Page, or in today's world, the Yellow Page app, and look up sheet metal fabricators, and there'll be several in your Yellow Pages, and just ask, call them and say, if you got 22 gauge sheet metal, galvanized sheet metal, because it is only galvanized sheet metal that this will work on. You don't want to use anything other than galvanized sheet metal. No, it doesn't work on brass, chrome, stainless, galvanized sheet metal. 22 gauge is what we use because the gauge is the thickness, and so we're wanting something that's not too heavy but yet not too flimsy.
You know, one thing, Jean, a lot of people may not know, I know you've got to clean this, but while you're cleaning it, I was just going to tell them a lot of times we go to antique stores and I'll find these letters and galvanized buckets and things that you can also do the same technique on. So
yes, that way you can have decorative accessories like she was saying, buckets or wash tubs.
I can't look at you.
I don't do anything. Excuse me. So the first thing we want to do, the sheet metal, we usually have an oily substance on it. It helps prevent the rusting. So we want to get that off. And our favorite product is the Clean Slate. Clean Slate will remove that wax, oil, grease, and we'll just wipe that on real quick.
This is a great product to have in your DIY pantry. You're going to use it on so many things.
While he's doing that, Rosemary is wondering, how do you attach the glass to the wall once you're done?
That's a great question. I had this, and I was going to show you when I did another piece, but this is actually some silicone. And we use a combination of silicone on the back as well as mastic, a mirror mastic that will hold glass. This is great because we'll use it every other dollop. And when Jean gets through, I'll actually show you how to be able to apply it.
Okay, now that we've put the Clean Slate on, we're going to just take just a dry paper towel. And the reason I'm using paper towels with this, it's the very inexpensive way. We don't want to use our good cotton rags for cleaning because they're more expensive than the paper towels. So we'll just go in, and I'm just making sure I've got all the residue off before we start.
Kathy wants to know, why are you giggling at him?
Good question, Kathy.
Most of you know this is my husband, Gene Howard, and we've worked together for so many years. He knows I have a tendency to get really serious when I'm working on finishes and things because I'm more intense, wanting to make sure that it's done right and it's beautiful. And he just has more of a free spirit, so he makes me laugh. So
Don't worry, we're going to do it right, so I wouldn't take you down the wrong path. So first thing we're going to do, this is our zinc solution. You notice we shook it well first because we want to get all the ingredients thoroughly mixed up. Pour some out. We can use a styrofoam bowl as our holder, or we could use glass, paper. Well, and paper may start getting a little flimsy after a while. Then I'm going to take our cotton rag. The reason I'm going to use a cotton rag instead of the paper towels is you'll notice there's a pattern, and we could actually transfer that pattern onto this. So we don't want to create this lovely damask pattern that's quilted into that. So I'll just make a loose ball with my cotton rag, dip it in, and we'll just kind of let it drip dry just a bit. And then we start patting it in just a random pattern. And notice I'm not trying to do this from an analytical standpoint. This is just very, as Amy says, more free-spirited, and that's okay. And notice now we're starting to get a little bit darker. Notice how we're starting to get some change in that. So once we start getting that, and we've got some coverage going, then I'll start doing a little white
So now
and
it's
pat.
coming. Oh, okay.
And
What if I'm working on a really big piece though, Jean? Is that going to be too scary?
Not at all. When you work on a larger piece, what you want to do, you want to work in sections, just like I'm doing here. Notice that I'm working in sections. And so same thing, if you're working on a tabletop that would be this size, we're going to do it in sections. Just do it in 1 by 1, 1 foot by 1 foot sections.
Notice too on here, you can kind of see this finish on our table. We love antique zinc look. This was just done with galvanized sheet metal, and it oxidizes and actually gets prettier the older it gets and the more you've used it.
And it has the same characteristics of zinc in the fact that it will stain, it will scratch, and that just adds to the character of it.
Jean,
And-
can you repeat what product you're using?
This is the zinc solution, the antique zinc solution, and what we're doing is we're making galvanized sheet metal look like zinc. It's your galvanized sheet metal is a much less expensive product than the zinc is, much easier to find, and so we can create that look of zinc for a fraction of the cost. And if we continue doing this, it'll just keep getting darker and darker. But notice how that it's not solid, it's not uniform. We've got a very mottled look to it. That's important because we want that that mottled look as opposed to a uniform
So
look.
we don't want the whole thing to go black.
We don't want it to go solid black. We want it to go darker, and I'll keep working it, and it'll keep going a little darker, but it'll always maintain that very mottled look to it.
Now, how long is it going to take that to dry?
It'll dry. You can air dry, take maybe 20 minutes, or you can put a fan on it and dry it in about 10 minutes, or use a hair dryer on the low heat setting, and it'll take about 1.5 minutes. So it's up to you how quick you're wanting to expedite your project.
And here's the piece that Jean actually did just a few minutes before we went live. And this is the same galvanized sheet metal that we did it on, but look at the patina on there. Isn't it beautiful? So you see what a great looking backsplash if you like more of a farm, kind of country homestead look.
Do you have any idea what a square footage cost would be on that material?
I want to say when we would get a tabletop that was roughly 6 feet by 3 feet and had the rolled edges, was around $100 to $120 for that.
But you know, Jean, the rolled edge is what made it so expensive.
Yes,
so it's going to be a lot less expensive for you to do a backsplash with this. So you're probably looking at maybe $40 to be able to do a kitchen backsplash, which is very inexpensive. One thing that we love about the Amy Howard at Home line and the products that we create is a lot of people don't know, but that we were furniture manufacturers for about 25 years. And it was a very high-end line of furniture, and we wanted to be able to show people how to get a great look, but on a budget. So this makes it a lot of fun. The things and the techniques that we're showing you are very, very expensive, and especially like the colored glass backsplashes and things now will run thousands of dollars, but you can create them for just literally under $100 for your kitchen. So I think we've run out of time today. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to make your comments and ask questions. We'll continue to answer them online. We've got a lot of exciting things that we're going to be showing you in the upcoming weeks. But be sure and tune in next time where we're going to show you how to do hardware.
Actually, it's the floor.
The floor. Oh my gosh, that's right. Next week we're going to show you how to do painted floors. And the next week after that we're going to be showing you how to create Carrara marble countertops and gilded hardware. So thanks again for joining us, and don't forget, it's your turn to enjoy the bragging rights.